What's going on, podcast people? Welcome back to the Zero to Here podcast. I am your host, Denny Dumas. On tonight's show, good friend and Carl and I's high school basketball coach, Aaron Mitchell. Great conversation. He's an awesome dude. Have a listen. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Shoot us a review on iTunes or subscribe. Are you a podcast fan?
Yeah.
Do you listen to podcasts?
Mm-hmm.
What are your go-tos?
I love Jalen and Jacoby.
I don't know.
ESPN.
Oh, okay.
I dabble in a few kind of like leadership ones, coaching ones, just kind of, but it's they're so long, some of them. Like I'd love to listen to Joe Rogan. I just don't have 3 hours, man. Right?
But you don't have to listen to them
Bill Simmons
consecutively.
Yeah, no, I know.
Like for me,
I always forget that, right?
Yeah.
That's my ADD, undiagnosed ADD, where I'm like, well, that's done. It's a week old. I can't listen to it now. Like it's not the current thing, right? Whereas it's like, no, fuck. If it's not a sports one and something that happened yesterday, you can still go back and listen to it, right? That's what, like when we flew to Peru this summer, I just searched people that I wanted to see if they were on podcasts and just downloaded all those ones, whether they were a year old or whatever, and listened to them. So
who are the people you're looking for?
Mostly Brene Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's good, man.
She's a lot of books. Super popular.
And then she did one with who's the British dude? Used to date Katy Perry.
I know who you're talking about.
Bit of an ass. He started a podcast.
Yeah. I listened to him on Joe Rogan, and he was
he
so
bad?
much smarter and intelligent than I ever thought by watching movies.
I'm the exact same. I was like, this is gonna suck. Like Brene Brown's gonna carry this thing.
And
I was like, this is actually really good.
Russell Brand.
Yeah,
Russell Brand.
He's super intelligent.
I thought the exact same thing. I was like, there's no way this is gonna be good. I was like, holy crap. Because he's calm, right? He's not being a jackass, and he's actually like, doing something that he cares about. So I was like, whoa, this is actually really good. Totally. Yeah. And then I just I like what's his nuts, but he's not on a lot of podcasts.
Rappaport?
Yeah. That's my boy right there. Lucky Rappaport. Oh, frick. I like Tony Robbins, actually. I like his stuff. Yeah, so.
He's too rah for me.
He is a little bit rah, and his voice is always so raspy. I'm like, dude, stop yelling, man. But
maybe it's just my personality doesn't really relate to that kind of stuff, but it almost sounds like fake to me.
Right.
It's just too much. Like he's trying too hard.
I agree with parts of that for sure. Yeah.
What leadership stuff do you like?
There's man. See, you're gonna make me. It's called. I like John Maxwell, so I searched John Maxwell to see. He doesn't have one, but he's good on that stuff. Just any of them, like I just will search leadership, and if I see like a topic, whether it's like vulnerability, like working with teens, like how to deal with colleagues, like just shit like that, like just kind of everyday topics that are interesting to me. Yeah. So I don't necessarily actually Jalen and Jacoby is the only one that I actually download that's like, okay, you have a new episode. Yeah. Also, my headphones are broken, so I'm waiting for them to get returned by Bose because the wire ripped on them. It's bullshit.
Mine broke yesterday.
You have the wire or no?
No, I have the Bluetooth ones that I like for running.
Yeah.
One of them doesn't work anymore.
Really?
Right here works.
How old are they?
Like 6 months, maybe.
Yeah. Do you have did you register them or whatever?
I don't know. I still got the box.
Yeah. Register them, and then they sent me like a shipping UPS thing. I printed it off, dropped it off, and they're like, within 2 years, it's like full replacement.
Okay. So
Yeah.
One doesn't work.
Because I have the wire, and it's like shredded, so it's like the wires are just sticking out. I'm like, what? So they're like, yeah, we'll send you a new pair.
Fucking Eli was probably chewing them.
Probably, but they stay at work though. But yeah, that would have been something that would have happened for sure. Yeah.
You should start one. I think you should start one.
Yeah.
I posted something on Instagram the other day that I got from Jordan Sheldon. Remember Jordan Sheldon?
Yeah.
He was in grade 12 when I was in grade 11.
Brown hair.
That might have been your
played football.
First year? Was your first year?
My years like Alicia Wong and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're older than us. He, have you talked to him or seen him recently?
My first year was you guys were in grade 10.
So he would have been 11.
You guys played up.
So he was in grade 11.
Yeah, we could have won junior provincials. It's all right. No, you should have played senior. We lost to Prince George. Remember we got murdered?
We didn't get murdered.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we were down big in the first.
Grade
quarter.
11 we did.
Yeah.
Grade 11.
Yeah.
Kamloops.
Steve Frere cried because we played Curran before him.
Grade 10, we were double A.
That's right. Yeah, 11 you were double A. It's grade 12
Grade
we
10
went
and
triple
11
A.
were double A.
Yeah.
Grade 10, we lost to the Dragons, the King George. With what's his face?
Oh, yeah. Fucking
Diego.
I remember that game. At Notre Dame?
I think it was at King George.
He's talking into the mic. Did you see that?
Yeah.
That was at King George. Thanks, Carl.
You got it. So I'm here.
What would your podcast look like? I want to hear, and I also want you to start one. Anyway, back to my point.
Okay.
Until before Carl interrupted me. We got a little bit of a love-hate relationship.
Yeah.
We started.
It's a lot of years.
Yeah. Carl, this is a podcast. It's just a conversation. You know that.
Okay.
There are currently 700,000 podcasts worldwide
Right.
and over 5 million blogs. 500 million blogs. So
Wow.
Jordan Sheldon, who
Yeah.
runs like a digital marketing
Okay.
agency in LA,
Yeah.
was saying,
really?
like, seems like
Does
a
he
pretty
live
good.
in LA?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's doing really well.
Good for him.
He's been on the podcast twice.
Yeah.
Great dude. He was just like, seems like a pretty good time to start a podcast. So get off your ass and do it if you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many blogs that people read.
Yeah.
500 million, and there's
Yeah.
700,000 podcasts.
Yeah.
Yours would be like BC basketball, or just be anything hoops.
Yeah. Canada?
Shoot the shit.
Yeah. Tell me about like your, if they played or coached for an extended period of time and talk about their journey.
Let's do it. I want to be guest one.
Here we go.
What do you mean? I'd be a pretty good guest.
Can you give me the fob and the key to your place? We'll tape it here.
Sure.
We'll just do it on Wednesdays.
Let's do it.
Sure, man.
I'm in.
It'd be awesome.
What's the name going to be? Philadelphia?
Do you even know what this is?
I'm guessing it's Philadelphia shirt. I don't know.
It's the Roots, man. The Roots.
Oh, the Roots.
They have an album called Illadelph Half-Life, but they're from Philadelphia.
I love the Roots. I was listening to the Roots in elementary school.
They're so good live.
I haven't seen them live.
Oh, highly recommend. Like, everything's live instruments, man. It's like unreal. Questlove's like phenomenal on the drums. Black Thought's like
Black
one of the
Thought's
best
so
MCs
good.
ever.
Mhm.
And their band is unreal, right?
I saw him in Squamish 3
Yes.
years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. They were just here. They opened up Jazz Festival.
Oh, yeah?
It was literally the day we flew to Peru. My brother bought 2 tickets. He's like, okay, can I stay at your place? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm in. I'm like,
Oh,
July 8th, July. Or like June 28th. I'm like, that seems like a familiar date. I look at my calendar. Yeah. Off to Peru. But I've seen it twice, so it's all good. Yeah.
Can we talk about the state of high school basketball right now?
Absolutely.
What does it look like? Because I've heard Carl's opinion, and Carl, I want you to chime in on this. Absolutely. What does it look like right now?
It's a bit of a mishmash. We're next year we're starting a season where the Fraser Valley is no longer and the Lower Mainland is no longer. So the tiers have been one thing, right? Jumping to having four tiers to the 4A level, and then now having like all new divisions and new leagues. So we're no longer playing in the Independent League. We are part of the Fraser Valley North. So the Fraser North we're called. So we will be Burnaby, Port Coquitlam, Maple Ridge is our league now.
so we're gonna have actual league games.
We have
Burnaby,
8 league
Poco,
games.
Maple Ridge.
Yeah.
So you're just skipping cities along the way?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense
So-
geographically.
BC School of Sports made the decision, and they kind of geographically said, just because the development that's happened in Surrey, right? Surrey for a long time wanted to split up and just be independent and go split themselves into 2 because there's so many schools. Like Maple Ridge, for example, Maple Ridge High School is going to be 4A next year. That's how many people have moved out that way. Right. And they've gone from a AA to 4A a 3-4 year span. But it's going to be interesting because I think when you added the fourth tier, you took a lot of history away, and then, changing the leagues and the regions, that when you say Fraser Valley, right, or Lower Mainland Championship, people think, in the 80s and 90s BCIT, and then they think, Kits or whoever was hosting, and then, it's been at the Oval for the past 10 years or whatever. So it's going to be interesting. I don't know how it's all going to play out. Like, it's going to be weird. Like, for us, we're AA size, but if we played AA, we would have 2 other teams in our league. That's it for 1 berth, or maybe a half berth to provincials. So, as a program, what's the end goal? Is it just to make provincials, or is it to have a competitive way to make provincials? Right? And that's not to say that we would make the BCs every year, right? I'm not disrespecting the other programs, but at the 3A level, there's just more teams and more opportunity and an actual league, for us to compete in. Whereas we haven't played in the independent league at the senior level for like 5-6 years.
Really?
Yeah, because we're 3A. Vancouver College and Saints are 4A.
Right.
St. Pat's and Notre Dame are AA.
So you'd be the only team.
We're the only 3A team. And so, Saints and VC built their programs to a point where, we were just getting thumped on, right? And so what we're really getting out of it. And then if you go and lose a couple of AA games, well, when they go to seed you in the Lower Mainland, that hurts your seeding, right? So it's like, oh, well, you lost to Notre Dame or you lost to St. Pat's. And, we just took the approach, like, let's have the best AAA schedule we can and play the best games, right? Besides that, we're in a time where the training thing it's an interesting, I don't know what word to use. It's an interesting time we are in with that. And the individual skill thing, as opposed to, basketball always being like a team sport. So for me, I get it. But as an old school guy, right, I'm only 41, but I have a hard time with a lot of it. Because, now you have a kid whose parents say, well, he played for whatever all summer. How come he doesn't play? Like, well, you still might only be the 8th person on that team, but what's wrong with just being the 8th person on St. Thomas More Knights or whatever team? Like, I think we're losing the pride in just being able to make a team and have a jersey, right? We're losing what that effect can have, right? Like, I think of a lot of the guys that you guys played with that were just honestly happy to be on the team and showed up every day and did what was asked and were great guys and committed and cheered everybody on and never asked for anything, right? And that's not to say that kids are asking for anything, but I think we're just setting them up, not necessarily for success, right? And I think we're kind of masking the reality, right? Like, when you guys played, you made the BC team and there was no other option, right? You went to camps, or you played at Bonser, or you played at Cameron, or you just worked on skills by yourself, right? Now there's just so many options for these kids, but I don't know, are we actually getting the game better? Like, are more kids going to university? Are more kids playing the next level? I don't see it yet. So who is it? Like, is it on the people that are getting paid to train these kids? Is it on me as a high school coach? I don't know.
Well, that's my question, is who's not setting them up for success? It seems like having more programs for more kids to be involved in sounds like a good thing.
Absolutely.
So why is that creating this entitlement then?
Well, I think it's the model that some of the programs are setting up. There's some programs that will take less kids and have 3 teams, right? And some will take, a ton of kids and, maybe the best kids might not even be paying a dime to be there, right? So, I guess entitled, maybe I'm being just a little bit harsh there, but just kind of the idea of, why can't we just take being on a team and being a role player on a team? That's life. Like, you're not always going to be the CEO. You're not always going to be the manager. You're going to have to play a role on a team to get somewhere. And if you can't learn those skills in high school in something that's extracurricular, whether it's basketball or whatever else, then that's kind of our job, I think, as a high school coach, right? But I think these kids come in with ideas and have been told things that maybe aren't true, and that, oh yeah, you can play at the next level. And I think we need to be realistic with them. It's not to shoot them down, but are we developing their actual weaknesses, or are we just feeding them, lies and telling them that they'll get there? And what are we doing to make sure that they get there and ensure they get there? And then having families believe that they're going to get there too, right? So basketball in BC is interesting right now. Like, we're not seeing our best kids that play. They don't play for the provincial team anymore. I think basketball BC's the last couple of years been aware, and they've made a good effort. They've gone kind of more on the national team model, where they pick the team early and then, hey, go play for your club, right? We're going to practice on this weekend. We're going to practice on this week. And then club season kind of ends, and they have, like a 12-day window before they go off. So they practice together for that, which I think is a good model. I'd like to see the clubs and those coaches let their kids go and play. Like, I think, if you're going to go to Vegas and you're going to go all these places and play in those big tournaments to get seen, man, the Canadian nationals, there's coaches there too, right? And I think it'd be good if we could suit up our best team and send them out just to see where we're at. Because it's tough, because Quebec and Ontario are always going to kill everybody because they just have the numbers, right? And we don't have the numbers, but we still have the skill and the talent. And I think it's important for us, as a province, to be on the same page. So it's very mishmashed right now. There's a lot of muddy water. There's a lot of people fighting and, jockeying for position. And at the end of the day, I personally got into coaching for kids, right? And I think at times we're losing sight of that and what's most important. So
is that just the way it's going though? Like, when you look at the States, who's so much further advanced than we are in the sporting world, do they even have state teams? Like, in Canada, when we grew up, it was the only thing really to do in the summer was provincial team. Yeah. And so all the best kids were trying out for provincial team.
Right.
Whereas in the States, it was all club teams. It was all AAU.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they had state teams.
No, they don't. No, it's just an AAU model.
AAU.
Yeah.
So why isn't that a good thing if we're shifting towards that, which means more kids get to play every summer? Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not developing the best kids as much because the competition is spread out across 100 teams rather than one provincial team. Mm-hmm. So maybe they're not developing as quickly.
Right.
But it's getting more kids to play.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so, like, I think.
Or do you think having 100 teams, there's one best player on each team, so that one best player on 100 teams think they're the man, and they go back to high school and they're really a mediocre high school player?
Yeah. And I guess it also depends on how do we measure basketball getting better in the province? Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, how do we measure, like, maybe the gap between the bottom of the bench, like maybe the eighth man is more skilled now than they used to be. Right. So there's that. But, in terms of guys moving on, and I can only speak from the boys because I don't coach girls, but, how many kids are we actually moving on and then are, playing their whole eligibility or going on to play pro after? Like, is it actually happening? I don't have that barometer, but sometimes I watch and I'm like, holy smokes, this doesn't seem great. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'm semi-clouded by, there's truth to be said that there's just way more kids playing. Right? Like, in the mid 90s, way back when, in the Peach Baskets, when I played with leather belts and Converse All-Stars, like, we had Terry Fox High School, you had Port Moody, and you had Centennial. Like, those were your three schools in the whole Tri-Cities. There were no other high schools, right? You've got Glen Eagle, you've got Riverside, you've got Heritage Woods, you've got Charles Best. Yeah. And I'm sure we're missing a couple, So it's like, there's more kids. And so that's going to water it down a little bit, but it's just interesting. I think people started, the clubs and these systems, and we didn't all just sit down and figure out what everyone's model is. And I get people got to, they got to do things and they've got to put bread on their table. So I'm never going to knock someone for that. Just like to ensure that, everybody across the board has the kids' best interests. Right. But yeah, it's an interesting time. Like, I honestly wouldn't be surprised, as sad as it is to say, in 5-6 years, maybe there's no more high school basketball, or like Ontario, that the club season means way more.
Right.
Like my buddies that coach out there in Ottawa and stuff, they say, I mean, high school, they have a championship, but it's not, it's not it's AAU is what matters. And I think maybe some of the old dogs, including myself, are just hanging on to that too much. Maybe we're hanging on to like BC high school boys basketball, right? Maybe it's a combination of all that, but it's interesting.
Has the quality gone downhill?
I mean, I think so. I think the quality of play has gone down. I think see a lot more zone, right? I don't know.
Is it the quality or is it the like work ethic? Is it the dedication? Is it there aren't as many kids, or with the rise of social media and cell phones and like stuff that we didn't really have or was just starting when we were in high school?
Mm-hmm.
Does that take time away from kids actually caring about sports?
Do we really want to get into cell phones and social media?
Yeah, 100%.
How much time do we have? Yeah, I think it's a combination of all of it, right? I think for one, I think schools aren't making, extracurricular a priority anymore. And that's not just basketball, music, arts. And I think that's where, one, you create the culture of a school. And I think two, that's where, kids feel attached. And three, that's where they learn the most. Like as a high school teacher, I know it's probably bad, but sorry, like, geography is not where you learn. You're going to learn some stuff about geography, but you have to go on a road trip to the island and pack your bag and be away for a couple nights and be a part of a team and play a role. Like that's where you really learn about what adult life is kind of like. You get a little taste of it, right? And so,
have like a food budget and all that kind of stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Parents give you $100 for a weekend.
Yeah.
Good luck for you. If you spend it all in a day, what are you going to do next?
40 on the ferry before you're even off the boat, right? Which on the ferry is like a cheeseburger and fries. But I don't know. Yeah, it's just interesting. And so I think and not to knock the public system, but I just think, you can't even ask a new teacher in an interview, like, what do you want to do extracurricular? It's just not allowed to be asked, right? Whereas you look at St. Thomas More and other schools, like it's got to be 85-90% of our staff are involved in something extracurricular, right? Something, even if they just donate their time to like the chess club after school twice a week, like they're doing something that allow the kids to have an extra opportunity.
What would that percentage look like in public schools?
Oh,
like 25?
Yeah, that would be, I was going to say 30.
Yeah.
That's just a guess.
Yeah.
And I think, there's just more 9-to-5ers, right? And for me, it's just boring. Like if I just did my job and went home, I'd be like, that was kind of unsatisfying, have lots
feel
of good
like
things.
A robot almost, like you're not connected to the work.
Mm-hmm.
You're not connected to kids and like helping them.
Yeah.
You're just presenting material, right?
For sure. And like, you got to make time to connect with the kids in the classroom, but still there's limited time, right? And that's where you really get to know them, right? And that's where, people like Carl want to come back and coach, right? And because they felt like they were a part of something bigger than themselves. So I think there's that. So I think, running the Chancellor Tournament, 16 teams, first week back after Christmas, when you guys played in like 07, 08, 09, those times, which isn't that long ago, it was 15 teacher coaches, right? Now it's less than half. And God bless them for giving up their time, whether it be a dad who follows his son up for 3 years, 10, 11, 12, and then is gone and we don't see the program again, or, someone has another job and it's like, hey, coach, can we get this time to play? And can we get that time? And it makes it hard. It's a 16-team tournament. That's 8 games a day. Like, to get people those times, right? It's hard. So, and we have 3 or 4 that come from out of town, like, Prince George last year. So obviously they're getting a late game, and, just those little things, it's changed the landscape, because if you don't have the teachers in the building that are the coaches, you're already losing connection, right? So, that poor coach is doing their 9-to-5, they get in their car, they text their wife who's already mad that they're coaching and say, babe, I'll see you at 7:30. Like, don't worry about me for dinner. I'll get a Whopper Jr. on the way home. Then they get to practice and they find out, 2 of their kids got in trouble that day. And why are they in that practice? It's just different, right? And then you can't build the same connection doing extracurriculars. So I think we're missing a lot there. And it's not a knock on anyone. It's just the reality that we're seeing. And then, like you say, I think there's just more and more kids that just want to be less and less involved. Like, I think gym rats are, they're just not as many, I think probably the last group that we had was probably 2012 where it was kids that we just like constantly kicking out of the gym, Shout out Broadcast, I think gave you a key to the school, right? Like, and that obviously with liability and there's things that you just can't do anymore, but that gym is open from 6:45 till 8:20 every morning, and it's probably one of the nicest gyms in the province. And I'm like, guys, it doesn't lead to results, right? So we got to teach the kids. You have to teach them everything now. So it's interesting. Yeah.
Huh. Have you seen that difference in the work ethic in other places at the school? Like maybe educational wise, or
in terms of like teachers or
no, students, just like hard work.
I think the kids are dedicated, but I think kids are dedicated, at least at our school, to, we were talking about this in the elevator on the way up, was, that GPA, right? That final result, that what's going to get me to McGill, or what's going to get me to UBC, or where I need to go.
You still see that grind a lot, or do you see
for sure?
It less and less?
I think our kids for a whole, but we're a private school, right? So a lot of the kids are sent there to get an education and get a good education. And, we have good teachers and quality teachers who care. And a lot of them go above and beyond to make sure that the kids get where they need to go, right? So, at our school, I think the kids are pretty dedicated in the classroom and they're concerned. But also, like, excuse me, I think society's told them, like why at 17 do you have to have it figured out what you want to do for the rest of your life? And why is there this huge pressure that if you don't get a 90, whatever, you can't get into UBC? And like, why are we only focused on UBC and SFU? Like, there's a lot of good places in our province or outside of the province that you can go. I need a swig of my beer. Or like, it is okay to go to BCIT. Like, I'm pretty sure they're short a lot of tradespeople, or follow the path of your dad and become a co-owner, or owner one day of a construction company. Like, there's ways to build that. So I think there's just so much pressure on kids, plus so many distractions. Do I sound old yet, or
what? Do you that's an interesting point, because I obviously, with my situation, the value of my education was pretty minimal. Like, I felt like I learned so much more working in a business,
right?
Learning about life and how to figure out my adulthood, rather than going to anthropology 101 in university. Right. Do you think kids are figuring that out, that the value of education doesn't necessarily set you up for success in real life? Meaning, like, a degree from UBC, SFU, whatever school throughout Canada is still just going to get you an entry-level job.
Yeah.
Do you think they're figuring it out early? Because with us, it seemed like we were brainwashed in high school, saying like, you have to take this path. You have to go to one of these top schools. That's going to set you up for success.
Like, if you don't go to university, you're a loser.
Right.
Yeah,
that was the thing.
Right.
Are kids aware that that is not the case?
I don't think so, but I think the way education is going is it's teaching them that, right? Just to be more well-rounded. And I think, for older teachers, they feel like we're being softer on kids. But I think if, I'm in my 16th year, if I'm still teaching in my 16th year the same way I did my second, well, that's a problem, right? And if I'm still teaching in my 30th the same way I was in my 16th, it's a problem. Like, I need to adapt and grow with the times, right? And kids learn different. They process different. They process less. So, like, and I think because there is so much information out there, they are smarter in a lot of ways, right? Like, we're talking about kids that now have goals to blog, work at a cafe, and play music at night. Like, they might have 3 little things that they do to make a good salary, right? Or 2 things that are more of a passion thing, right? So I think they're getting it. I wouldn't say that it's as black and white as like, well, I don't need to pay attention to that. But I don't lie to my kids. Like, in leadership class, I say, I went to Brandon University. Do you know where Brandon is? Like, right? But I knew my first 5-6 years, I had 5-6 buddies that had no job and had a UBC degree in education, right? But I made connections, kept those connections, never burnt bridges, always tried to be a positive person, volunteered my time, and tried to build my resume so that when I needed to fall back on those people, and the way I got my job was like so random, right? So in the end, it is just a piece of paper, and the real learning occurs once you jump into that career, right? And then just letting them know that it's okay to be 2 years in and not really know or like what they're doing, or start their career and not really like what they're doing. Like, it's okay to make those changes, right? And because it's your job, like it's a huge portion of your life. And like you were saying, what did you say? You use the term brainwashed, right? It's like, are we creating robots? And I think the way we're going is we're not. We're looking at, okay, we need to create well-rounded people. And I always think of Thierman and Chung, right? When they were both applying for solder, I think. And Chung's had a better GPA, and he was so choked that Thierman got accepted before him, because a lot of the Asian people that were getting into solder had great GPAs, but they couldn't carry a meeting. They couldn't have a conversation. They just, were socially inept. And so it was like, they were actually making us change to like try and get less in, which is interesting, right? Like I don't know. It's just interesting what they're looking at. And so now with the way high school education is becoming this whole sort of well-rounded 360 person, as opposed to just best GPA, are universities going to adapt and work with us? Or is it still like we were talking, is it going to be, all right, you have a midterm worth 60 and you have a final worth 40 and spit out everything that I've taught you, right? And if it is, well, it's still going to be the same product. And then you're going to get in the real world and go, wow, like, okay, here's reality, right?
Is the curriculum adjusting in the right ways right now, though? Nothing has really been changed. It's just been kind of talked about.
It's more not necessarily what we're teaching them, it's how, right? It's how we teach them. Like, we have technology in the classroom now. We can get them to do, a video presentation. We can have them do group work and assess themselves and each other, right? So it's more getting people away from that, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So I don't know. And we're still in like a trial and error sort of thing, right? Like it's not even implemented yet, and it's been tweaking for the last 1.5 to 2 years, and we're getting to a point where it's almost going to be finalized. So, but like anything else, we won't see the final product probably for 3-4 years. Like our grade 10s we won't even be able to tell, right? It'll be probably our current grade 7s that in 5 years, once they get to high school, we'll know when they graduated if the process worked, Is there
any emphasis, or are they talking about, I don't even know how you would bring this into some sort of curriculum, but one of the things you mentioned was you built your network along the way. And for me in business, that's been one of the absolute biggest keys to finding some sort of success, is learning how to network and communicate with people. Whereas I feel like high school didn't
teach you that at all. Yeah.
Well, didn't even acknowledge it.
Yeah.
It was just like, here's the book, this is the test, learn these things.
Yeah. And then regurgitate them to me in a month. Yeah. Yeah, I think for sure that's one of the things. So
regardless of whether you're an electrician, a teacher, a business person, a janitor, like you need to communicate.
Yeah.
And totally. I felt like it kind of failed on that level.
I think you make a good point. There's nothing in the model right now for anything like that. But one of the things is, did you guys take planning? Yeah,
well, I think it came out when we were in grade 10 or 11.
So our year was the first year, and then they canceled it like 3/4 through the year.
Right. Yeah. And then they brought it back, and then they canceled it again. So now it's called career life education. Okay. And so we do it offline. So myself and 2 other teachers do it, and we have all the grade 10s. And so we do, like financial literacy. We make them, last year we had 60 alumni. I think you got my email, you weren't around. We did interviews, right? And so they had to sit through an interview and talk to them about dressing professionally and eye contact and body language and all those things. And I think, I agree. I think we're missing, but again, from a educational perspective, there's the pressure to check so many boxes.
Sure.
Right. So how do you do it all? But I think you make a great point, because if you get in the business world, I mean, any world really, like you're in construction, but if you can't carry on a conversation and convince someone that you're going to be able to do the good job, well, then they're never going to select you, right? So
even just being liked is so undervalued.
yeah,
Right? If I'm an accountant and you're an accountant and you're an asshole to everyone,
yeah,
and I'm super nice,
Yeah.
I'm probably moving up the ladder quicker than you are.
for sure.
If our skill sets are similar, right?
Social skills. Yeah. No, I mean, we do it in leadership class, but they're like grade 12 by then, right? And these are things that, and I think we're getting there as a school. If I speak for our school, like this year, our grade 8s came in and we took their first 2 days and we just did a total startup with them, from how to operate in the school, what appropriate behavior is, how to use your Chromebook appropriately, social media use appropriately, right? And then if we can grow and develop and build on that in terms of, the social stuff, I think we'll start to see good results, right? But like you say, it's in that world where that degree, you need it, but in the end, it doesn't mean a lot.
Yeah.
And then if you don't have the skills socially to make things happen, it's a tough road, right?
What does that grade 8 orientation look like? Because it would be so different than ours.
Squeaky.
Like, hey, John,
Yeah.
no dick pics, okay? Don't send dick pics.
Yeah, no, I wasn't there, so I can't speak on it. But, just more that like teaching kids, like think about before you hit send, like think about what you're saying. Is it about someone, And I think kids, the jokes that used to happen in high school were just between two people or a group, and it was with their voice, right? Yeah. And it was, but now it's actual physical evidence. And I don't think kids get that. I don't think they understand the effect that it has on themselves and others, right? So yeah, it's so many things to work on them with.
How do you create awareness though? Because that would be super difficult trying to educate a 13-year-old on, look, if you say something negative about someone on social media, I potentially could stay with you for the rest of your life and hurt your career.
Totally.
How do you educate them on that?
We will get guest speakers in, right? People that know more about it than we do and the effects of it. And they can pull up some crazy stuff, like examples of people and some of the apps that they have, and they can figure out, like, they'll even, pick out what kids are doing even during the presentation, right? And like the software that's out there is phenomenal, right? So there's so many things. And, think about, like, I'm 41, think about some teachers that are, in their late 50s, right? And it's like, it's overwhelming, like, let alone, when you guys were in high school, we did Scantron attendance and they ran it through every, and now it's like, I go on my phone, I have the app, and I put, what I mean? Just that alone. So, but it happened so fast, right? Like the social stuff happened so fast that if you weren't someone that was in tune with it, it just became overwhelming. And then people get overwhelmed. They just want to shut down, right? So I think it's teachers, one, making it a priority in their classroom to like go through it and talk to them about it consistently. But it's crazy, man. Like, you have a pep rally and you walk in and the kids are filing in and there are 200 kids sitting there waiting and half of them are on their phone, right? Music's playing, candy's being thrown in the crowd, and, they're on their phone. So unfortunately, a lot of it is just live and learn. You make the mistake, own it, right? I think that's what a lot of high school is for, is to make mistakes, right? And then not make kids feel really bad about it, but like to have them learn and learn a lesson, and then to move on and forgive them, because they're going to consistently screw up. And like, I think as a school, that's our job. But I don't know if you can't get to the point where you're going to avoid it all, right? Someone's going to send something that they shouldn't, but just, it gets a little concerning when we're talking about like sending things like, we laugh about it, but like, sending body parts and stuff. And you're just like, you're 15. Like, do you really want this out there for, like, when you're 35, you're really going to regret that. But when I was 15, wasn't thinking about what I was going to be when I was 35, right? Totally. So yeah, it's crazy. It's interesting.
In the PDP meetings and all these things that you're going to, talking about adjusting curriculum, is there a lot of, are they talking about like using technology? And okay, you talked about a pep rally, half the kids in the school are on their phones.
Right.
Why aren't we utilizing all the tools at the kids' disposal to continue education, to educate them? Like, you look at career paths in the last 10 years, and you see people who are influencers on Instagram making millions of dollars a year, right? Whereas we're
dumping
like
popcorn on their head and
Whereas I remember sitting in a planning class, maybe in grade 10, and going through this like questionnaire online, and the result was you should be a physiotherapist. But like, are they actively looking at how to, rather than say you need to be off your phone for 8 hours a day, why not using the technology available?
No, I think we have teachers in class. So, there's apps where you can, because a lot of kids don't like to speak up, right? So you can get them to post their answer on the screen, right? Every kid has a Chromebook now. They also have, for me,
every kid in the school has a Chromebook.
Yeah, we're 1-to-1 now. Yeah, 1-to-1. They get it at the start of the year and they return it at the end of the year. So we all have Google Classroom. So we're pretty much paper free now. Other courses like math, stuff like that. But, the assignments that the kids get, or even just like the course outline, is just online now, right? So we're getting there. But again, you've got, what's our youngest teacher's 26? Our oldest teacher's 63, right? Like that's a wide range of people, and people are only going to get so on board and step so out of their comfort zone, right? They're not like me. They're not like me, you, like the three of us, right? Like they're not willing to try new things in the same way, right? And I get that because it's hard. And I think the older you get, the harder it becomes to make yourself vulnerable like that. But I think some of our younger teachers are doing cool things, using the Chromebooks, using your phone, doing it for good, right? But that's not when the bad stuff happens. It happens, on break. It happens in the caf when they're bored and someone's walking in the hall, and then all of a sudden you can film someone, or, that's when it happens. But yeah, I think that you go to a Pro D conference, most likely there's a speaker or a presentation on either using cell phones in the classroom or, social media awareness, right? And how to use it appropriately, so.
What are the big things right now with kids in social media?
Like, what do they use?
Yeah.
A Snapchat is like the go-to.
Is it?
Yeah, it's 100% the go-to.
It's funny because it's like that age. It's like 12 to 18, right? I think I've sent probably less than 12 snaps.
Snaps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You call them snaps?
Yeah.
Now I'm dating myself.
Yeah.
Snaps in my life.
Yeah. It's like you get streaks, right? So when we snap each other a day, we get 1 day. So some kids will have, they'll have a 900-day streak, and they'll get rattled because parents will take them to Cowichan Lake and there's no service for the weekend. No word of a lie. The kids will leave their phones with a friend and be like, "Can you snap Carl? Because Carl and I have a streak and we."
Why is that important?
They get new emojis, and like it's just, and I'm talking about like you're walking in the hall and you take a picture of the floor. That's how you keep your streak. Or you just go like and take a selfie and with a goofy face. Like that's how you keep your streak. Serious, for real.
So like the software is just finding ways to make it addicting.
Yeah.
Just keep going,
100%.
keep using it every day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
is TikTok a thing in high school right now?
TikTok is coming. Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. Had a couple kids in leadership show me their TikToks today. I was like, great. Yeah. But it's pretty big.
It's just like pretending to sing to a famous song, right? Just lip sync.
Yeah, but now they're even doing things like you can make an actual video if you want with music playing, and you don't have to actually lip sync to it. Like I think that was the intention. Although TikTok's probably just like do whatever you want with it. But yeah, just turning it into another platform. But Snapchat for sure. I mean, and that's the thing is you take the risk of having cell phones in your class, like we go day 1, day 2. So you may teach whatever Math 9 on Monday, but a different Math 9 on Tuesday. Does the Math 9 class already know my test because someone's taken a picture of it by the next, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just, yeah.
Are phones a big problem in the classroom? Like, are you always just telling people to put their phones away, this and that?
It depends on the class. Like some teachers just have a basket at the front
and just collect them.
And other teachers are okay with it. My leadership.
Every class? They take cell phones away?
Some teachers, yeah.
Jesus.
Because I can imagine people just on it the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's up to you. That's up to them.
We leave it up to the discretion of the teacher, right? So
I don't know. I can't see any way that that's beneficial to be like, you need to give me all your information now.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't like that.
Well, they turn them off.
Hmm.
Turn them off, and then they take them at the end of the class. But yeah, I don't know.
I think in 5 years from now, that's going to look like a kid getting the belt or something.
Right.
Just
Yeah. Yeah.
the teacher took your cell phone away?
Yeah.
Holy shit. How old are they?
But what do you do? You're teaching and like half the class isn't paying attention. No one's answering questions because everyone's just looking at their phones. Isn't that frustrating?
Or you could just say you can have them on your person, but I don't want to see them out, right? But I don't know. I think if you create a good classroom environment and and the kids trust you and they respect you and you go out of your way to show them that you care about them, then the cell phones won't be an issue, right?
Do you think the difficulty level of being a teacher has gone way up
Yeah,
with technology? For sure.
I think so.
Even just like,
Just discipline. Like we don't do detentions anymore. There's no go to room 111 or whatever.
What? So what do you guys do? See you tomorrow?
I mean, you deal with it, right?
Right.
You deal with it as appropriately as you can as an in-class teacher.
Mm-hmm.
If it's something further, then obviously admin will deal with it. And if it, a parent needs to be called or, something like that, then you do it. But right now there's no detention. Yeah. Yeah.
Going back to
Talk
our
more
high school
offline.
days. Yeah, I know.
Someone complained.
Going back to our high school days, and even I'm sure before, there was obviously inappropriate things that teachers said to people. And it wasn't like,
Oh, wow.
okay, yeah, it wasn't that inappropriate, but like teachers
And
would
that's all
swear.
for the
And
podcast. Play the outro music, Carl.
what I'm getting at
Yeah.
is, are teachers obviously they have to be more aware of their behavior, but are they like almost on edge in class?
I don't think
Of
so.
like
I think
saying the wrong thing and a kid has their video camera out kind of thing?
I think some are.
Yeah.
And it's happened. And the kid that maybe not the teacher saying the wrong thing, but we've caught a video of someone, right? And so that's, it's a major thing that the kids need to learn.
Mhm.
But I don't know, again, like certain teachers that have a more sarcastic humor, I think have developed relationships with the kids,
Right.
so they can have that banter or whatever, right? So I wouldn't say teachers walk into a classroom like freaking out about it every day, but they're aware.
Yeah.
They're definitely aware. Yeah. And it's something that you always constantly have to have in the back of your mind for sure. Right.
Is
in
there
everything you do.
education, or do you guys talk about social media use for like the faculty? Because I would assume that would have been a fairly big learning experience when it.
Yeah. We talk about just, you should have nobody that you're teaching at a time on any of your platforms, right? Everything should be private, but again, as an adult,
How do you control a kid, like a student following you though?
well, if my Instagram's private and they request, then I can just say no, right? But if it's open, they can follow me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that said, if you have like a traveler blog and it's open, well, that's no big deal, right? You can't control that.
Right.
But, if you have things that, you don't want to share or whatever, but I also think, before it was like Facebook came, I was like, do not be friends with your students. And it's like, well, really, like what are you putting on there that you're worried about, having a friend as a student, right?
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, you've got to just, they're adults and they have to, if they screw up, they have to be prepared for the repercussions, right? You can't train them on everything. I mean, here's what it is. Here's what it looks like. Here's what is probably a really, 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 really good idea for your own safety, right? It's not an issue of you posting a picture of like when having a glass of wine in your hand. It's just what can happen once you open that can of worms, right?
Yeah.
So always protecting yourself. So
It's funny. I like using social media to be like bluntly honest. And so it feels like the environment of, and I'm sure a lot of occupations are like that, but it almost feels like it's breeding you to filter. You know what I mean? Like if you have an honest opinion about something that you see or a politician, you probably can't say it publicly.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I see a lot of stuff and I just don't comment or whatever,
Yeah.
it's a conversation with someone else.
Or that's the other thing. If someone
Yeah.
posts something and it like builds some sort of emotional reaction in you and you're going to comment on it, you're probably like, oh, I probably shouldn't comment.
Absolutely. Well, I've done things where I've commented and like deleted right away, or been like started and been like, what am I doing? You know, and then, you know, especially with even like a platform like Facebook, it's not even really regardless of what I do, it's not really the platform to get into it anyways. So sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Right. But, you know, even just like the Trudeau thing that's just happened recently, like I have my own thoughts and opinions on it, but I'm like, I'm not about to let anyone know via something they can just screenshot. Right. And for sure, you're bang on with that is, you know, commenting and things. You know, I have Twitter, Instagram, I have Snapchat, I have Facebook. Right. So it's like, you always got to think about who and what's going out there. Yeah. But I think a lot of the teachers that are older than me probably don't even have those platforms. They probably have Facebook. A lot of kids don't even use it anymore. Right. They don't even touch it. So, but yeah, you got to be conscious.
Do you think with participation going down in extracurriculars for kids, do you think that alumni group that we have at STM dwindles away over time? Like, it's obviously something that we value so much. Like that basketball tournament and golf tournament every year. Right. We love going to those types of things. Yeah. Do you think that camaraderie type of environment goes away?
Never seen Carl at the golf tournament. Side note.
Never will.
Carl can't swing a golf club.
That's not what it's about. Interesting point. I mean, you look at that competitive division now, and what's the youngest team in the competitive division?
Well, there's only 4 teams.
Yeah.
Right. So what's the youngest team? There was a group that was maybe 3 years out of high school last year, something like that.
Yeah, like Carson's group and those guys. Yeah, maybe even older.
I think STM's original
but even
in
those
the sense
kids aren't hanging around for a beer after and chatting. Right?
Yeah. We've actually noticed it at Terry Fox too. I haven't made it the last couple of years, but same thing. Like they always do an event at Orange or whatever that place is.
Orange?
Yeah. On the Friday night.
I really like your accent though.
Orange. Isn't it double R? Isn't it double R?
I think it's called Orange.
I don't know. I'm going with Orange. All right. Suck it. And the same thing we've noticed, like, you know, our old coaches come and it's a pocket of the old guys. And then depending on where you are, if you have teenagers, you can stay a little longer. If you have little ones, you usually get home. Yeah. But the younger guys, like, they're not into it. They're not into, I don't know. Whereas like when I was younger and like 24 and going to that, I was like, oh my God, that's so-and-so who played at Fox. And, you know, like those are the guys that you looked up to and you wanted to emulate. Right. So I don't know if there's a gap there or they process it differently, but you're right. Like I remember my first few years at STM just being blown away when I didn't even, you know, I'd play, but I also help. And then like, you're like kicking people out of the calf at midnight on a Thursday night, right? You're like, I've got to go home and work tomorrow. Like, please leave. But they just want to stay and socialize. So I don't know if it'll die. Like, I think the events will still happen, but maybe just the makeup of it will be different. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I think it depends on where people are in their lives, but I think STM is unique in the sense that it builds connection for people. Like it's a place that they do want to come back to. Maybe not right away, but eventually they enjoy it. So yeah, I don't know.
Has your coaching style changed at all?
100%.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How so?
Well,
you were pretty aggressive with us, to be honest.
You can let me answer the question? Or? Yeah, I think, you know, when I first started coaching, you know, I was 25 when my first year teaching, right? It's not young, but it's not super old either, right? So actually 24, turned 25. Yeah. You know, and I thought I was going to be, you know, like my Rich Chambers or Goulet, you know, one of these guys, and not in terms of their personality, but just my dedication level and, you know, what I wanted to do. And then over the years, I just realized like, holy smokes, like I want to have a family. I want to have a wife. I need some balance in my life. And, you know, why is it 1 a.m. and my heart rate's up and I'm thinking about 16 and 17-year-old basketball players, like being annoying and not executing what we want. Right. Like, and also being more reflective and open, being like, maybe it's me. Right. And much like teaching, I don't think it's healthy for me to be the same coach over all those years. Plus, I probably health-wise wouldn't have made it, right? And so, like, I constantly think back to other years that I've coached and be like, oh, I wish I would have done this differently. And not in a negative way, but I just feel like that's part of your own personal growth, right?
sure.
I just did what I knew how to do when I coached you guys, and I feel like I've learned a lot more. I've seen different styles. I've opened my mind to other ways to get it across and do different things, and change those things. So some former players and people that have coached have said, "Oh, I'm getting soft." I don't necessarily think it's soft. I just think it's different, right? Again, kids are different. Like, we could do certain drills and, speak to a certain way with you guys, and you would respond, right? You would respond. The kids that we coach now, like, I don't know if they would respond to it, right? And I also realized at some point, like, if you consistently be that way and have that behavior, it's just going to turn you off. Like, just going to stop listening, right? You can't constantly be riding someone and have them always be engaged in what you're saying. They're just going to shut you out, right? And so just that learning and growing over my life, right? But yeah, I was aggressive and I was a yeller, but then I was kind of like, what am I doing? Like, I can still have the moments of emotion where I'm bothered, right? But it can't be on every friggin' play, and it can't be on every little thing, So, I think you just learn that over time and at least challenge yourself to change or think differently and adapt. So, yeah.
For whatever reason, this afternoon, I was thinking about thinking back to grade 12.
Yeah.
There were some specific moments that I remember.
Play the outro music.
Walnut Grove, PNE.
What happened in Walnut Grove?
Yeah, the Agrodome, that was not a good game.
Against Walnut Grove?
Yeah, we were down at halftime.
And they threw the ball to the left side and ran sideline break on us every time. And I was like, take away the sideline. But of course, we just run back middle. It's just instinct, right? And all they would do is out and push it. And it's just like driving me nuts. And then we went in that corridor in the Agrodome. We didn't even go to the locker room. And then I just lost it. I broke the clipboard and I threw it. But then also you realize you're in a corridor and I'm like, how far is this sound carrying right now? Like, this cannot be good, right? We ended up, did we win?
Yeah.
Yeah, we won that.
I think we
game.
were about 20.
Yeah. That's not to say that that's because I lost my mind and acted a fool.
Was that the second game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember what happened at the, was it in the halftime or the end of the third? It might have been the end of the third quarter of that game.
The Walnut Grove game?
Yeah.
No. What happened?
So it was after you were upset.
That look.
It was after you were upset at halftime.
Okay.
And I think I had a pretty good third quarter.
Okay.
Like, I hit a few shots.
Yeah.
And at the end of the third quarter, we ran some ISO play.
Yeah.
And it was like 4, 3, 2.
Yeah.
And I was like 6 or 8 feet outside the 3-point line.
Yeah.
And I hit a deep shot.
Yeah.
And I, run over to the sideline. You just whisper to me, you're like, you're an idiot. But that was the same game.
Yeah.
So you're probably so pissed at halftime.
Yeah.
And then we probably had a pretty good third
quarter. Yeah. And in those are those moments, right? I think, kids are going to, especially younger kids, are going to feed off your emotion, right? They're looking at you for your leadership. And if you're constantly like this, well, they're going to be like that, right? And I think the more that you can be like this, when things are going rough, hopefully they'll collect themselves, and things are going well, they won't get too ahead of themselves, right? And I think that's part of it. So, I think those moments probably happen for me a little more, or like I'll crack a couple jokes in practice, and like poke fun at each other, as opposed to just constantly being, because you don't look down and it's like, your guys' years, we were spitting out CIS athletes for 3 years in a row, right? At least CIS level, right? Between, Carino and you guys and Curran and Jacob Blade, and like, I'm sure I'm missing other people, but, whereas now it's like you look down and, you've got just a handful of kids that probably over the next 5-6 years might move on post-secondary for anything, right? So it's like, why am I just drilling the 11th man for the Knights? Yes, I want them to be accountable and I want them to have the same expectation as the starters or whoever, but I think there's a different way to deliver that message. And there's no right or wrong, right? Some people respond to that, some people don't. My wife and I were watching some Oprah thing, probably get roasted for this, but some Oprah thing on parenting the other night. And we were just, it was interesting because they were just basically talking about we're products of our environment, right? And so when you parent, like you parent out of fear because you don't want it to probably be the way that you were taught or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like, I grew up playing for a lot of coaches that yelled, and I responded well to it. So I just naturally took that on. My dad was hard on me. He was a bit of a yeller as a dad, but I just responded well to it. And then I realized, okay, like I don't have to be this way, you know? So I think you're just a product of, and that's not anyone's fault. It's just how it works, right? And then it's up to you when you become older to choose to make changes or not, right? So
Do you, saying that you don't necessarily have like a lot of people that are super interested in moving on playing sports, do you pull yourself out of it sometimes and think this is an opportunity to teach them life lessons through basketball? Is that a conscious thought, or is it always just like they're not taking a charge, they're not playing defense well enough?
Oh no, I constantly like relate or try to relate like being part of the team to life, right? So like if you're 5 minutes early for practice, you're 10 minutes late. Like you got to be here at least 15 minutes before, and you got to be warming up in the hall. You don't walk on the court and tie your laces up. Like if you show up to work a minute before work every day, what's going to happen? They go, we're going to probably get fired. Yeah. Or you're just not going to be very good at your job. Right. And it won't require you to be very good. So there's just so many things like being on time, being accountable, being a communicator. Right. And I used to go crazy. Is like, well, I'm going on the ski trip. I'm like, why would you go on the ski trip during season? It's like, you know what? You're 16, like go on the ski trip. But if you get hurt, there's 12 other guys on this team that you may affect. But that's, I'm not trying to make you feel guilty. These are just the decisions you have to choose and understand you're making, right? And, or, if a kid got hurt or, want him to come back, but just, if you're not going to be at practice, communicate, let me know. And so just teaching them those things is, you're nailing it in terms of my philosophy and my brain and where it's gone from being X and O's. And like, I would write college level scouting reports for you guys. Like we would have all the way to the 8th man and be like, if he gets in, force him left and don't let him shoot the 3. And he's a weak rebounder and da-da-da. And then now it's like, we'll have some notes on a few kids and we probably won't even watch film to playoff time because we're more worried about the process and more worried about getting better as opposed to like just everybody else. And the kids have to learn how to react on their own against someone else. Right. And it isn't college, it's high school. And I'm a volunteer. So I think in my philosophy, 100%, I'd say I'm 180, just more focused on those life lessons and what they can take and apply to their life after high school. Because that's ultimately really what it's for. Yeah, winning games is great, but if they don't take something away from the experience that's going to help them, then what's the point really? So yeah, you're bang on with that. Huge thing for me now. I don't know if you've seen it. I mean, it was more of an assistant role last year, but I just think like, and I, let you and Mike kind of do your thing a little more, but I think you'll see it more this year is just all the little skills that you need. Because if it gives them advantage, then hopefully they'll, be thankful for playing because it helped them more than someone else who just kind of went to school and went home every day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a really big 180 here.
Oh boy.
I want to ask you about the adoption process. Let's end
Okay.
on this. I don't know much about it.
Yeah.
I know that you've told me it took about 1.5 years to even get an interview.
Yeah.
But in my head, for some reason, I envision this interview, like these people coming into your home, you like suiting up in a tie,
Yeah.
and then them looking through your
Yeah.
house and them seeing like 37 shoe boxes in your closet and just being like, this guy has a shopping problem.
Yeah. How's he going to afford diapers? Yeah.
Can you just walk us through like what it actually takes to
Yeah.
adopt? Eli's how old now? 3?
He'll be 3 in November.
Almost 3.
Yeah. Which is buck wild. So
And you won the lottery of adoption. You know that, right?
yeah. I think
Kid's adorable, but he looks exactly like
it's so weird, right? Hopefully he can grow out of that through time. And he doesn't have to end up looking at like me, but yeah, no, for sure. Like you have to let go on sometimes and think like you're where you're supposed to be, right? Like he just fits in so well. It's almost like weird. So, yes, we kind of started the process in like July of 2015. And we Googled, adoption in BC. We had a coaching friend who adopted from the same agency.
Okay.
And we just got their story and heard what they did and end up being the same agency that we had looked at. We went through the government as well, and went to a couple information nights there, but they focused more on international. And we just thought, just different things, and, things like, if you want to adopt in Haiti and then some weather disaster happens, like the adoption agency shuts down for 8 months because they have to make sure every kid is accounted for, right? You can't just start giving up kids for adoption when maybe their parents have survived, and just things like, oh, by the way, we need X more thousands of dollars for you to, just random things like that. Whereas it seemed like BC is local, is a little more systematic, and there's kind of just a little more structured. So we used an agency in North Van, and you have a meeting there, kind of just talk about why, and you look into, is it newborn, is it after 3, like what, and then it's quite interesting. It's like speed dating a little bit. Like they give you a profile, and it's like you're checking boxes, because some people are open to saying, it doesn't matter if there's alcohol or drug abuse or smoking, or so it's it's like, whoa, we've got to make all these decisions. And then things like choosing ethnicity, and we're like, we just want to be a family. Like it didn't matter to us, right?
At that point, had you even thought about that stuff? Or they're just throwing this questionnaire at you being like,
we had talked about it before, that okay, they're probably going to want to ask us these things, but you're trying to have a family, and you never think about that. You're like, well, I'm Caucasian, you're Caucasian, we're going to have a Caucasian kid unless you have a bad story to tell me, right? But then, it's just like, well, I could care less if you're brown, like, and people give us weird looks, like you're part of our family, right? So, is that there's that, and then you have to meet with a social worker. So we had to do 5 meetings, and they tell you, about the process of adoption and how it works, and all the things that maybe you didn't think about. Oh my God. It's empty. Edit out the coughing at
Got a glass of water?
I think I'm good. And so you learn, because adoption is now, it's considered open, right? It's no longer closed, like, in the 80s, when it's just like gone and up to the child later down their life to maybe track down their birth parents or whatever. So we met the birth family before. We created this profile. You can choose to have it online. So, a girl gets pregnant, she Googles adoption in BC, goes to this website, and there's all the profiles of the people that are up for adoption.
So she chooses you.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So you get shortlisted. So the birth mom picks 3 families.
Tinder. Like she swipes right to a dozen people. Interesting.
At any time on their website, they wouldn't have any more than 25, I believe.
Okay.
And you have single, you have lesbian, you have straight, you have whatever, you got everything, right? So, and then there's also people that choose not to have their profile online. So there's a big book of of the families. And so, so it took us about 4 months, about 3 months to get that process done. It was kind of around October 2015 we were done. And then our profile went up. And so you can check in with the agency whenever you want. Like,
what goes in that profile? Because right? Because you're wanting to sound appealing to someone to get picked. You don't just want to sit in that book for 4 years.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Totally.
Is it like a questionnaire about who you are, what you do for a living?
So
there's a photo, I'm assuming.
The agency gives you kind of an idea, but we basically just copied our friends because we really liked what we saw. And you also have to think about who you're focusing on, probably a young teenager, right?
Yeah.
Right? Very rare is it, an adult that's wanting to, give up for adoption. So, things like, what's your favorite show? And, I was like, I didn't lie though. I was like, Jay-Z's my favorite rapper, right? Like, you know what I mean? So there's things like that. But yeah, it's hard because you're like, you want to be authentic, but you also want them to catch your eye. It is interesting. But I think for us, it was more, the birth father was around, and I think he's a very active kid. And I think he really liked the fact that I was a PE teacher and involved in coaching and stuff like that. So we met them for dinner, well before, and so we found out October 2016, and she was due in like 5 weeks. Yeah. So it's crazy, right?
Surprise, get ready.
Yeah, but within that process, like you can contact the agency and they'll tell you, oh, you were picked twice this month. Like unless you actually get connected for a meeting, they won't tell you even if you're shortlisted unless you ask, because people will go crazy. So we told ourselves we'll ask once a month. And then we just realized that was making us more nuts, because then you're like, well, what's wrong with our profile? Is it us? Like why, you know, and like they might have only had 2 birth moms come over a 2-month period, right? So it's, how do you, it's just too many mind games, you know? So you got to just let go. So we actually did get selected before as well. We went out for a dinner with another family, but they chose to keep the baby. The birth mom chose to keep the baby. So this family, we met them, and yeah, they you know, liked who we were, and we went out for dinner with them one more time before Eli was born. And then you know, you make an openness agreement about kind of what that's going to look like and how many times you're going to meet. You go to some information nights that the agency provides, and it's interesting to hear people's stories. So you hear either birth moms who have given up for adoption, or you hear adoptive families and kind of just everyone's journey and how it works. And it's a mishmash. Like some people are like, oh, we see the birth mom once a week. And we were like, oh. And some people are like, we haven't heard from day one, or it started out. And, you know, and the rare part for us is that the birth father was still in the picture too. I think a lot of times it's just the birth mom. So there was that. And then they were still together. So the Cubs won the World Series. And then Eli was born. He was like 7 or 8 days late. And then he was born November 20th. And so we went out to Langley when he was born, and we met him, and we kind of just gave the birth parents a one night. And then we went to the hospital the next day, and we stayed that night because we were like freaked, because Reagan was like, we're going to go and we're going to take him as, you know, we'll take him home right away. And then we get there and we meet him and we're in the hospital. We're like, can we stay over tonight, please? Like, this is too much. So we stayed a night, and then like, yeah, never looked back. Right. It's crazy. You know, I spent the whole night lying on that ghetto couch, like in his little thing, just staring at him the whole night. And they were more worried about us buckling him up in his chair. I was like, I haven't slept for 24 hours, man. Like, you know, I might fall asleep at the wheel. Who cares if he's buckled in? Like, so yeah. And then it kind of just takes off from there. So it's a wild ride, right? It's interesting. And then it's been interesting, you know, just in terms of balancing life with the birth parents since. And, you know, we haven't heard from him in a while. But Eli will know his story. There will be no secrets. We've got, you know, photos, we've got emails, like, you know, the minute he starts to process all that, and figures out, you know, where do babies come from, and, you know, and like, that's his story, that's his journey, right? And we're not going to hold anything from him. And when and if they're ready to come back in the picture, like, we'll be open arms. We'll make an agreement, we'll figure some stuff out. But if they want to be a part of his life and are in a good place and ready to do so, then yeah, we'll go for it. So
even just the process of getting selected, like, what crazy emotional roller coaster ride is that?
Yeah. Never mind the fact that once you take him home,
isn't there like a 30
days,
window?
they can change their mind. The birth mom can change their mind. So you're developing and growing this relationship, and you know, you're connecting, right? And
is it just like a bunch of anxiety day like 27, 8, 29?
Well, that was it too, is like, you know, all the stuff that we had been through already. It was just like a mishmash of just like, I've used mishmash like 30 times, but you should get that copyrighted. But just like so many different things we had been through, were like, what's more and more bump at this point, right? Yeah. But they, you know, it was like day 18 and we were sitting there, and Reagan tosses me your phone across the couch, and it said like, just met with the lawyer. We signed the papers early. Wanted to surprise you, you know, and I just like started bawling, right? Wow. I was like, oh my God. Like because you know, you try not to let it bother you, right? And, you know, and as the husband, you want to be the pillar of strength and, you know, not get flustered. And because, you know, my wife likes to overanalyze everything, and the hamster's always turning. And so be the calm one, but it was, you know, it's constantly in your mind. I was like on the floor, like hysterical. I was like, oh my God. Right. And like, I remember I FaceTimed my dad, and he was like, what's going on? Right? Like, barely even get FaceTime down, let alone what I was saying to him. So yeah, it's quite the process. But I mean, you know, everybody goes through ups and downs, and you got to just be able to, you know, look at it like, I think you can learn just as much from the hard times, right? you know? So, and you just like, the first thing you say is like, he just fits in. Like there's no doubt that it was, and it's corny to say, like, maybe it was just meant to be, but I don't know how we can think of it any other way, you know? Cause he's just like, he's such a little bugger, man. He's like, he's just awesome. So he's going to have our hands full for a long time. So, but yeah, it's a crazy, crazy process, but you know, we wanted to be a family. You know, people say, oh, we have the most respect for you and blah, blah, blah. And we're just like, we just wanted to be a family. We wanted to have kids, and it didn't start out the way we wanted, but we didn't want to give up on that journey and how do we make it happen? So yeah. So it's interesting.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no worries. Cool. Yeah. And I think, you know, infertility and stuff like that, it's like one of those things that I think people just naturally want to bury, right? And it's hard to talk about, but I'm obviously a super open and social person. And I just thought, like, it doesn't do us any good, you know, when we're out socially, be like, so when are you guys going to have kids? And we're on, you know, another miscarriage. And it's like, you know, it's like, well, here's our story. Mm-hmm. And not to make people feel bad, but just, I think there's more people. And when you start to share your story, people go, oh, that happened to me, or my aunt, or, you know, right? So you just think the more open you are and the more you're willing to share of yourself, the more people understand, right? So yeah, it's been an interesting journey. So
I think the more you grow too, the more you see that the shit that you deal with, other people will respect and not judge you for. Mm-hmm. Whereas you think in your head, oh, I must have done something wrong. People will judge me for this.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think it helps you grow confidence and just like as a person long term anyway.
Yeah. And like if they're going to judge you for that, then check box, don't need you in my life. Exactly. Right? Like it's a pretty easy process, right? It's an easy decision to make. It's like put yourself around the people that are going to support you no matter what. And yeah, and I think, yeah, for sure, if you just share those experiences, it helps you grow and it helps others grow. Or as opposed to like we were talking before, like, oh, hey, my dad died. And like, oh, how do I respond to that? Like just, you know, learning how to deal with those situations. Sure. So when someone shares that with you again, you're like, oh, I've been through this. Like I got something I can fall back on. So yeah, we don't hide it. Share with our kids at school. And it's funny though, because some people, you know, you catch some people, even family will be like, oh, must have got that from you. Or, you know, like, oh, it looks like, and you're just like, and then they go, oh, wait. But it's like, it's hard not to, right? I mean, he doesn't shut up. I don't know where he would get that from, but, you know, there's obviously a few things that he's picked up on through the family, but...
product of the environment.
Absolutely, yeah. The apple, right? So...
That's a cool little experiment, nature versus nurture, right?
Totally.
See how similar he is to you guys, just from obviously growing up with you.
Yeah. I had a buddy that posted on, you know, Instagram a couple months ago, and they've got two and talking about, you know, not really a believer because one's so different than the other, but then we kind of believe like, well, he's going to have some characteristics of his birth parents, but like he's with us from day one. Like he's got to be a product of our environment. Right. So yeah, it's cool for sure. Yeah. So we'll see how it all goes.
Thanks for coming out tonight.
No worries, man. Yeah. No worries.
Illadelph.
Half-Life. Shout out the Roots. Drop a beat, Carl.
There we go. That's how we end, I think. That's how we need to end every episode, Carl.
Carl with the beatbox.
With Carl beatboxing.
As awkwardly as possible.
That was good.
Thanks, buddy. That was a lot of fun.
No worries, man. It's good to come out.
First podcast.
Let's go.